The contract has been in our hands for the last couple days, and that's allowed us collectively to sit with it and marinate and find deeper meanings within the music video and the lyrics. I still stand by everything I mentioned in my previous explained video, but there's even more that I've uncovered that I want to share with you guys today. And stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to be breaking down every single lyrical connection that the contract has to other 21 Pilots songs, and trust me, there's a lot. So I want to start off this video by talking about and defining the contract. What even is this contract? Who is it between? Because I realized I glanced right by it in my explained video, kind of assuming that everybody knew what it was about. But let's dive a little bit deeper with this video. It's now clear that the contract represents the bond between Clancy and the Torchbearer. Tyler has confirmed that the only real version of the Torchbearer is the one that originated from the trench era, with a bandana, the yellow duct tape, and the green hoodie. Every other appearance of the Torchbearer has been a projection, and Clancy didn't know this, or at least he wasn't informed of this projection concept. So this whole time when Clancy was recaptured by Nico, brought back in edema, was used as a mouthpiece by the bishops to spout propaganda when he was on the submarine, which was capsized, and when he washed up onto the beaches of Voldsoy, he thought the Torchbearer was with him that entire time. This is why during the Navigating music video, when Clancy realized that the Torchbearer wasn't actually present during all of these events, the look he gave in response was almost betrayal, like heartbroken, confusion. And when we start to break down the lyrics of the contract, this lines up. He calls the Torchbearer my hallucination that I used to see, past tense. It felt so real, past tense. I promised you a contract, past tense. These lines express delusionment or dissociation, which lines up with Navigating when he found out that he truly was alone this entire time. However, let's look at the Torchbearer's perspective in all of this. This wasn't malicious on the Torchbearer's part. He couldn't physically be there. He couldn't physically help Tyler when he was in Dima, when he was on the submarine, when he was on Voldsoy. There was no way for the Torchbearer to get to Clancy during those times. So he thought he was doing the best he could by providing a physical representation of himself with Clancy during those hard times. But still, the emotional weight of that misunderstanding is real. Torchbearer still wants to stand by Clancy and help him through this cause, but the rift between the two of them remains palpable. Now let's talk about the mental hellscape that is the contract music video. Like, where is Clancy during all of these events? I've seen a lot of discourse online as to whose mind this is taking place. Is this in Clancy's mind or is this in Nico's mind? But I'm here to tell you that this is in fact taking place in Clancy's mind. 100%, no doubt about it. Especially when you see Clancy's eye in the first shot of this hellscape. It's red, but then it slowly fades to brown, which implies that this is what someone sees when they're being seized. And again, this is a rare phenomenon that only Clancy experiences while being alive. He's the only one that can be seized while living. And because of this mental space, this hellscape could be where his consciousness is banished while Nico invades his body temporarily. It's almost like that movie Nope, where when he is hypnotized, he falls into like the upside down while his body just lies dormant in the real world. It's kind of the same thing. However, Clancy in this moment in time is the strongest he's ever been, so he's able to resist seizing. And the song, the contract, is a dual narrative. It's an anthem of resistance against Blurryface and Nico, but it's also a betrayal of the mental chaos and the unraveling as Clancy processes his perceived betrayal by the Torchbearer. But why is Nico showing Clancy all of this imagery through this like pseudo telekinetic connection during this seizing process? He creates this place to break Clancy's will, basically. It's a psychological attack. It's a space filled with shadows and failed versions of Clancy, which is meant to convince him that he's nothing more than a disposable copy. And I was on the fence of what all these red-eyed figures were, but now after looking back at older songs, specifically Morph, I can confidently say that these are past versions of Clancy. They represent all of his failed attempts to escape Dima, and all of these attempts ended up being seized at the end of the cycle. And when looking at the lyrics of Morph, I think it ties right in. He'll always try to stop me, that Nicholas Bourbaki. He told me I'm a copy. When I'd hear him mock me, that's almost stopped me. He goes on to say he's surrounded and hounded, and that can also factor in, but those first lines, I really believe, enforce the fact that all of these versions standing around Tyler are Clancy. What other figure has red eyes? Usually when someone is dead and they're being possessed by a bishop, their eyes go yellow. When going back to the lyrics of Morph, it says that Nico mocks Clancy. What if this hellscape is the quote-unquote mocking playing out in real time? Blurryface is essentially taunting Clancy. He's basically saying you're a failure. You're just another recycled rebel, just another broken clone, another failed attempt. These shadowy figures are his past failures made manifest, visual reminders of every failed uprising. But this time, it's different because I truly believe this cycle is the cycle to end all cycles. I could be wrong on that, but time will tell. But this time, Clancy is able to fight back. He's not going to become just another mindless zombie like all his other past attempts. He resists the vignette this time, the mind fog, the shame, the propaganda. And again, hearkening back to vignette, he clings to the promise of the torchbearer. This is the only thing that's really anchoring him in this inner turmoil. Until the very end, when Clancy kind of goes to the dark side. Clancy opens his eyes and makes a bold choice. He's letting go of that promise. He's letting go of the contract. He abandons the torchbearer and decides to go against Blurryface solo, which is why he no longer has the red duct tape on his shoulders. In the contract music video, it's replaced by little snippets of the Clancy stole. In his mind, he's already made the decision that he's going against Blurryface alone. That's why all the lyrics of the contract are written in past tense. He's already made his decision. He's already let go of the torchbearer. This is so like dark side coded from Star Wars, and I just want to really quick allude to a couple Star Wars references. I mean, Clancy seems to be like visibly leaning into the dark side of the Force, quote unquote, metaphorically speaking. He's consumed by anger, betrayal, pain, and you see it in his eyes when he opens them near the end of the video. When he says, "I promised you a contract," he's literally looking at the mental projection of the torchbearer when he says that. This is like a final send-off, a final like, we're done. He's not pleading anymore. He's resolute. And this is the turning point. This is where he's no longer relying on others, on the support system of the banditos, which is not a great thing. Again, remember, this all harkens back to the mental health analogy. And when you don't have your support system, bad things happen. So I'm really not expecting a pleasant outcome of this era, except until the end. We love when your hero goes through his anti-hero phase, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing in Breach. So now, I mean, going back to the dark side analogy, he's using his inner fire, his inner passion to fight back solo. And again, I've referenced the Clancy letters so many times that were released during the course of the tour, but Clancy literally uses the term absolute power, which is giving Anakin Skywalker. You can't deny it. And in a sense, Clancy is looking into a mirror when he's looking down Blurryface. Clancy very well may be walking the same path that the bishops once did. And the question is, what did they do to get in power? And is he recounting those same steps? I also wanted to take some time to identify who the necromancer is, because I truly believe, with some time sitting with the song, the necromancer is Blurryface. And I think a lot of people assumed that, but I want to clarify my opinion on that. The line between what Blurryface is and what Clancy is becoming increasingly thinner now that Clancy doesn't have his support system that he's bonded to. In a sense, he's slowly becoming what he's been fighting against this entire time. So by slandering Blurryface and basically insulting him and calling him a necromancer, what that's doing is it's distancing himself from the figure of Blurryface. He's basically calling him a monster. Like, that necromancer brings bodies from the dead. It's gross, it's evil, it's disgusting. I do it too, but I also do it for the cause, right? But now that he doesn't have that cause and allegiance to the banditos anymore, he needs to almost drag Blurryface through the mud and make him a monster, which arguably he already is, but by calling him a necromancer, it's taking it to the next level, kind of propping Clancy's name up at the same time. So I think that's what's happening when he calls Blurryface a necromancer. It's an insult, and it's a way to prop himself up as well. I was talking to Spookibree on Instagram, which, by the way, shout outs to her. She dropped a incredible Clancy video essay, and check it out. Link in the description and pinned comment. But during our conversation, she also referenced Star Wars as being inspiration for this whole ordeal. In the contract music video, Clancy is surrounded by shadows and almost like mirrors of himself and different fragments of himself. It's almost like they're looking through a kaleidoscope. And this kind of is reminiscent of The Last Jedi, where Ray sees multiple versions of herself in that dark cave. And just like Ray is searching for identity, Clancy is facing the same dilemma. Every major phase in the lore has seen others define Clancy's role. Like the Banditos rescue him from Dima, and they thrust their colors, their symbols, and a new identity on him. During Scaled and Icy, he's literally used as a mouthpiece by the bishops to spew their propaganda. And now in the Clancy era, Torchbearer is the one that actually hands the Clancy garb to Clancy, the mask, the jacket, everything. He's kind of like thrusting Tyler or Clancy into this role of being their hero, their symbol of hope. So that raises the question, has Clancy ever had any autonomy in this entire process? We know it's Tyler, represents Tyler, but in universe, he really hasn't had his own agency in this whole scenario. So maybe the Torchbearer ending up being a projection is kind of like the final straw that is breaking the camel's back. And that's why he's eventually saying, I'm taking this bull by the horns and I'm making my own path. I'm paving my own road and I'm going solo because I'm tired of having these decisions forced upon me. So yeah, that is the in-depth analysis of the contract, the lyrics, and the music video. Okay, now I'm going to get into the lyrical connections to other 21 Pilots songs because there's a ton of them. I already alluded to it, but Morph, obviously, and also Vignette, the vignette closing in on Clancy's mental space. Now that we have the contract in context, when he sings out, "Where do I go from here?" in Vignette, that hits a lot harder. He also mentions clinging to promises, fighting off the Vignette, tunnels cave, visions fade, swallowed by the Vignette. All these lines kind of parallel the mental struggle that he's going through during the contract. Another connection is to Oldie Station. Clancy made a promise to the Torchbearer, but both sides have stumbled. And that leads to the line, "make an oath and made mistakes." Walk around the edge of the room is another one I found that's very reminiscent to Walk the Layout, Halls in My Head, and Routines of the Night. It's kind of bringing pacing, paranoia, and general feelings of anxiety during the nighttime or during dark places. Another one is from Choker. "I see no volunteers to co-sign on my fears. I'll sign on the line alone." And this reflects Clancy's isolation that he's currently feeling, especially during the events of Saturday and the Outside. Now that Clancy's looking back on those moments, he's realizing that he was isolated and alone the whole time. Overtake your former self from overcompensate. This is a mantra for this entire era, but the contract marks Clancy as finally breaking the cycle, refusing to be another clone or shadow of what he once was. I also really love the weight in the contract. It really reminds me of Weight in Levitate. And Jumpsuit, spirits in my room, friend or foe. All these shadowy figures, are they memories, failed versions of himself, or all the above? Going back to Morph, lights, they blink to me. Kind of calling back to the glowing eyes in the contract. Speaking of glowing eyes, that's another reference to Regional at Best. But do I want to say goodbye to all the glowing eyes? I'm holding on to what I know, and what I know, I must let go. Now, do I think that they had the events of the lore in mind when they wrote Glowing Eyes for Regional at Best? Absolutely not. But you never know. You never know. The line in the contract, "Is it light out yet?" during that rap kind of calls back to "the morning is when night is dead" from Ode to Sleep. In this scenario, light is hope, but in this hellscape, there is no light or the color yellow. So Clancy has to stand up to be his own light. And that rap section from Ode to Sleep, "I'm pleading please, oh please, on my knees repeatedly asking why it's gotta be like this, is this living free?" And this mirrors the contract's lyric. "I used to see, it felt so real, but now I plead, just take the deal." Clancy is wrestling with the cost of freedom, breaking the cycle. Oh, and Heavy Dirty Soul. Not only are the drum patterns eerily similar, but in Heavy Dirty Soul, he references, "There's an infestation in my mind's imagination." Yes, this references the broader strokes of mental health and how that feels like an infestation in your brain, but it can also mirror what Clancy's going through in the music video of the contract. Earlier, I mentioned in the music video, it looks like we're looking through a kaleidoscope, and that kind of links up to Holding On to You. In the contract, the music video aesthetic, it kind of feels like it's filtered through a kaleidoscope of Clancy's fractured mind. And once again, if you're searching for an identity and you don't feel like you have one, it could feel like this at times. Oh, and of course, the line. Honestly, the entire song flows directly into the contract, and I mean almost every lyric. Just listen to the song with the contract in mind, and it's literally what we see in the music video. There's also lyrics in The Judge that kind of harken back to like windows and blinds and curtains and that type of imagery. And no chances, I saw a couple as well, the terms of agreement that need to be signed. This mirrors the kind of legalistic language in the contract, signing a line like the choker lyric as well, making a deal, striking a pact, and it reinforces the idea that Clancy's battle has always been wrapped up in these pseudo contracts, control, promises, coerced choices, and now he's finally breaking the terms of conditions. But yeah, I think those are all the lyrical connections of the contract. If I missed any, let me know in the comments because there were a lot and I could have missed a few more. So definitely let me know. This video is a lot of work to put together. I thank you so much for staying to the end. If you want to support me further, consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the description and every cent goes back into the channel. Click the video on the screen to watch the video that YouTube thinks you'll really like if you liked this one. And as always, call somebody today, whether that's a friend or family member. You may be saving their life. This is Jake with Soul Potential, and I will catch you in the next one.